All right, Deb. So the first question I always give a author is the why. What is the why behind this book?
Because mentorship is so loosely talked about, and it's kind of been hijacked by the corporate world, where, in my opinion, it's almost like used to exploit employees. And I know that that's a strong way of stating it, but it, it's something we're built to do. It's something that's been talked about through the Bible and from hundreds of years of talking about it, but it's shifted and become something that isn't talked about in terms of our personal development and how we can utilize it to live happier lives. It's been talked about only as a way to get ahead in terms of a box to check. And it's been seen as transactional. The mentor has been a nameless, faceless individual that we're supposed to reach out and find, who's sort of going to like pull us up and make our lives so much better. And I realized I need to write a book about this because that's really not what mentorship is.
We are built to be a mentor, Deb. That was just chapter one, and you just sort of talked about that. What are the five key components to mentoring?
So it's really simple. And I like to think of it like baking brownies. Anybody who enjoys a brownie like me, you know that there's all kinds of ingredients. If you leave out sugar, it'll look like brownies, but it sure won't taste like brownies. And mentorship is just like that. We need all the ingredients, or it's just not going to be right. So you said something about coaching. I'm going to talk about this in the definition, because there are some subtleties between coaching and mentoring, and most of us don't know what it is. So people say, "Oh, I'm a coach and a mentor. I'm an advisor and a mentor. I'm a blah 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 and a mentor." Like a mentor is an add-on. But let me give you the definition. The first thing is we're built to mentor because we hit an emotional life stage in midlife where we're built to want to give back to others without expecting anything in return. And you and I have talked about this. This is called generativity.
Yep.
There's tons of research on this. There's a theorist, Eric Erickson, who's talked about it. It has been around. So, but nobody talks about it in the mainstream. It's a term that most people haven't heard. But what it really means is that we care for someone without expecting anything in return. And if you think about it, we spend all of our lives ingesting, right? Taking things in that we need in order to become experts and to understand ourselves and understand what we're doing in the world and how to interact. We need to get our jobs. And then it's like we're full. We're like a Tupperware that's exploding. Then we need to give it out to the world. And that keeps a little bit of us living on in others. That's what generativity is all about. So, like a legacy, it's a way that we make meaning in our life. It's the way that we say, "Oh, I'm actually important." If you watched It's a Wonderful Life over the holiday season, you realize that he had that epiphany. But we're built to have that sort of epiphany in midlife. And we say, "Gee, how can I take what's important to me and put it out into the world so that I remain relevant?" So that's the first thing, is generativity. Now, if you're confused about that, you're not quite sure what that means, don't worry, you're going to just do it. We just do this. We don't even have to think about it. The next thing, though, is intrinsic motivation. And this is where we get different with coaching and mentoring and advising and mentoring. So if I am desiring of doing something and it comes from my heart, from inside, if I go read a book, nobody has to pay me to go read a book. Nobody has to pay me to go put together a puzzle to do a crossword or to work out or to do all the things that bring me happiness. No one has to pay me to play pickleball. I'll do it. I love it. So if I were to say to you, "Hey, Tom, would you like to go volunteer your time at a soup kitchen?" You might say, "Yeah, sure, I would like that. It would make me feel good." You're giving out food and beverage to hungry, thirsty people. Now, if I say to you, "Hey, Tom, do you want to do that at Starbucks? Go volunteer your time at Starbucks." You'd say, "No, I'd feel like I'm being exploited." That's the difference. Coaches are paid, mentors volunteer their time.
That's for sure. But you're talking about the five key components, Deb. You said the first two. I didn't write down the first one. I have intrinsic motivation as number two. But let's start off again with
Mhm.
one, two, and then continue on, please.
So if the first is generativity. That's
Oh,
caring
okay.
for someone.
Okay.
Yeah.
Generativity is one. Okay, got it.
And that's caring for someone without expecting anything in return. Number two is intrinsic motivation. If you're getting paid at work to be a mentor, you are not a mentor, you are something else. That does not devalue what you are doing. It's just a different title of what you're doing. So the third thing is a meaningful connection. You have to like the person that you are being mentored by and the person that you are mentoring. So a lot of times people will say, oh, I was matched up with somebody and I don't know, I don't like them, but I'm not going to tell anybody because I don't want to, risk something at my job or whatever. But you have to be meaningfully connected with the person and like them. The next one is that you have to trust the person. And this is key. A lot of people don't like to express vulnerability. And this is a tough thing because you have to be able to be vulnerable with your mentor. And your mentor has to be vulnerable with you. So an example of this is if you say, oh, I don't want that person to know that I don't know something, let's pretend it's at work. I don't want to get a bad performance eval, or I don't want them not to, give me a promotion. You're not going to trust them. Likewise, if you're the mentor and you feel like, I'm going to go give this person, a lot of my time and energy and give them something that's very important to me, and they either don't value it or you feel like they're going to steal that idea and run away with it, that trust component is very important. And finally, there has to be a goal. So just chit-chatting is not mentoring. There needs to be a goal, and it can be a one-off goal, like I need help right now, or it can be I'm going to have a long-term relationship with this person, and that goal will shift and change over time. So those 5 components need to be there. And if it's missing one of them, it's not mentorship. Something else, but it's not mentorship.
So, Debbie, you're going to say something about the difference between coaching and mentoring. What did you want to say about that?
So so I'm also a coach, right? I'm a psychologist, but I operate as coach because I look at, the things that we have to look forward to. And I'm a mentor, right? But there's 3 different hats that I wear. They're not all the same hat. So a lot of coaches that I meet will say, I'm a coach and a mentor. No, you're not. I say, do you get paid to the mentor? Yeah. No, you're not. You're not. And I'm very firm in that because we water these things down and then people think that mentoring doesn't work for them. Or they say, I'm not going to go. I did that once before and I met with somebody and it didn't quite work out. Well, it didn't because they weren't your mentor. They were something else.
How would you like people to find this book, you, speaking engagements, whatever? Go right ahead. If you got something for Joel, please ramble on.
So you can find the book, The Mentorship Edge, on Amazon and anywhere else you get books. And I just want to say it's on audio because a lot of people have switched formats for books and they prefer audio, and it's available. So, most people can get that for free or for the one click, if they have Audible or things like that. So it's available Kindle, hardcover, everything, anywhere you want books. You can also find out about more of what I offer at deborahheiser.com. And you can also check out the Mentor Project at mentorproject.org.
Mentoring styles. Is that important for people to understand? You got a chapter in your book about it, so I'm assuming it is.
It's very important because most of us only think of mentorship as hierarchical, that you're getting something from somebody above you, and it's usually work or school related. And that's not really the most impactful, powerful form of mentorship. The most powerful is lateral mentoring. So if you are an entrepreneur, you don't have anybody above you to pull you up. You're the boss. You need to look to your left and to your right. If I'm a hardware engineer and I'm making some new innovation, I better go look maybe to a software engineer or somebody that does something else. That person's my mentor. They're going to be guiding me in how I can do things. And I may be guiding somebody else in something that I'm an expert in that's not my boss or not below me. So lateral mentoring is how we formed our country. All the founding fathers, they all had their different areas of expertise. The entire tech revolution was based on lateral mentoring. There's not a single person who did it themselves, did a big tech revolution by themselves. It was always done with a lateral mentor, at least. So any new innovation that we see is based on lateral mentoring. So I give those examples in the book, the different forms. Other forms that are hierarchical that we don't think about also are the cultural kinds of mentoring. Nobody cares in the end about, somebody how much accounting mentoring they got. That doesn't transcend generation after generation. But what does is your holidays. Do you ever go in and you know what to expect for the holiday? You know what you're going to be eating. You know what the smells are going to be like. I, every Thanksgiving, make my Thanksgiving meal based on my grandmother's handwritten recipe cards. That is mentorship. Now, we take all that for granted. It is religion. How did religion get passed down for centuries? That's mentorship. Those are the important things to us. Our culture, how is it that you interact with others and how do you feel about yourself? That's your culture. That's what you want to pass down. So these forms of mentorship that, we don't realize are part of mentorship are the things that bring us the most joy and make us feel a part of the world. Because when you feel like, hey, grandmas are one of the biggest mentors we can look at. They're the ones who are like, here's the traditions this family's going to have. I'm putting this down and it's going for century to century based on, the religion, the tradition, the culture, the values. We think of people being mentors as having a degree, and that couldn't be farther from the truth. So in that chapter, I talk about all of that and the importance of looking at the different forms of mentorship: reverse, peer, lateral, hierarchical, all of those.
Tie it together with the future of mentoring. I mean, do we need to make sure everybody knows the 5 key components, or what do you think, Bev? What is the future of mentoring?
So the future of mentoring is those 5 components never go away. Again, generativity, intrinsic motivation, meaningful connections, trust, and a goal, right? But here's where it changes. We are in a changing, evolving world. And we now have the internet, we have AI, we have all these things that people are engaged in. And we have a world where we're more connected than we ever were before. And one of the silver linings of, say, COVID, that period of time, is that we weren't on Zoom the way we are now, or all of the other platforms in the same capacity that we are now. That allows for mentorship in many different ways from people around the world. And so people are getting connected in new ways. But it also, there's been a big spark of podcasting and things that have happened. And you were right there. Podcasting is a form of modern mentorship. The person has something like you did. You said, I need to give back, right? And 14 years ago, when you started on the radio show, you were like, I need to do this. You were working. This was your other thing that you did. Now, there were so many people that were meaningfully connected to your story. Is it as solid in the same way as, because you don't know every single person? It's a little weaker version, but it's still mentorship, and it's a modern form of that. So as we get more involved in this kind of interacting with others, we're going to see mentorship look differently. So there's an example of AI where Marshall Goldsmith, who's a coach, mentors other coaches. He has like an AI bot of himself that gives out mentoring. So the person can type something in or ask this bot that, looks like Marshall, and he will give from his own words that he's had in there the advice back. And so that's another form of modern mentorship. They've done that with Holocaust, people who'd survived the Holocaust, and they have like sort of holographic versions of people. This is how modern mentoring is going to look. It's going to have a tech aspect to it.
In corporations, in teams, in all kinds of different aspects, how do we encourage this?
I tell people to look to your left and look to your right. You're a mentor to someone, or someone is a mentor to you, everywhere. That could be a grandma. That could be, a friend. That could be like Charlie had a friend. It's whoever we know, somebody every person knows something you don't know. That's a potential for a mentor. And it may not be that it's at that very moment that you need that mentorship, but it'll pop up at some point, I guarantee you. So everybody's a potential mentor. Engage with everyone and as many people as you can. You can never have too many mentors. And the biggest thing I can say is that the lateral mentoring is the key to your personal and work productive, excellence that you're going to come across.
The takeaway, go for it there, Dr. Deb.
Everyone is a mentor and everyone is a mentee. And the more you engage with others, the more happiness you're going to have in your life, the more fulfillment, and the more you're going to progress in whatever your goal is. So again, look to your left and look to your right and get out there and mentor.
I cannot say enough about Debbie Heiser. She's the best. Get this book. Help her help others, because this is going to help you. It helps me just by doing what she suggests. A book is an easy way. It's very inexpensive. Get the Whisper Sync. Check it out. Go to the mentor. Check out her stuff. Dr. Deborah Heiser. She's awesome. Again, all over our website. Just look at the psychology, mental health advocates. That's where she goes all the time. Until next time, I'm Papa Tom. Thank you so much for being part of our life. Peace out. Love y'all. Talk to you next time, everybody.